Welcome to the show as we get started this morning. January 8th, 2025, as we head to the wild card weekend, we got some good news for you this morning. We'll get into the Ravens as far as Lamar Jackson, how he feels, and what he basically explained about, his past playoff experience. And we'll get into a lot of different things. The Vikings wives having some issues at the Lions game. Some news about Tyler Lockett as well that we'll address, and then obviously we'll start to break down some of these games heading into the wildcard weekend. We might do all of them if you guys want to do all of them, but we'll figure it out. In the meantime, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. All right, so yeah, as far as Lamar Jackson starting off, says Ravens Lamar Jackson blames playoff woes on being too antsy. I mean, if that's what you want to call it, fine. I guess when you do play great and you've shown up on the field and you've been the MVP twice and you're having a great 2024 season, you get to kind of say things like this, right? Yeah, I was just a little nervous, a little antsy. I'm going to figure it out this year. Don't worry. We'll get into this story. Make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up. Here we go. If Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson had learned anything from his playoff struggles, it's to remember to keep his emotions in check when the stakes of the games increase. I'd just be too excited, Jackson said after Tuesday's practice. That's all too antsy. I'm seeing things before it happened, like, oh, I got to calm myself down, but just being more experienced, I found a way to balance it out. As the Ravens play host to Pittsburgh Steelers in a wild card game Saturday, Jackson will look to overcome his postseason disappointment. The two-time NFL Most Valuable Player is 2-4 in the playoffs and has never reached the Super Bowl in his previous 6 seasons. So yeah, I mean, it's very easy, like I said, to say, okay, I was a little worried, little nervous, maybe a little concerned as far as with my performance. But the problem with that I have with that is this: you've been great. You've done your job, whether it be rushing, whether it be passing. And so to kind of, say now, hey, I was a little antsy. It's kind of in hindsight as far as, for what the conversations were, whether it was throwing picks, whether it was not able to, execute in critical moments in the game, or just letting the game be bigger than you, opposed to you become bigger than it. I think, that's more of the issues that Lamar Jackson has struggled with. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he wasn't great in these seasons, because he definitely was. But we all know that the issues in the postseason does become a larger than life moment. Can you overcome the adversities heading into these major games? And so, hey, we're going to see it this weekend. We're going to see whether or not Lamar Jackson can take all the pieces that he has right now, all this experience that he has right now, and being in this same scenario of where he has folded under pressure and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to let this team down. I'm going to go out there and put this team on my shoulders, and I'm going to lead us to the promised land. And so we'll keep it going. Says the issue with Jackson has been turnovers in 6 playoff starts. He has thrown 6 interceptions and has lost 3 fumbles. You got to try to be mistake-free, Jackson said. The game's won with a turnover battle and keeping the ball in your control, moving the ball down the field, getting first downs, putting points on the ball. Obviously, that's how you win those games. Jackson doesn't think about the playoff losses from earlier in his career because he feels he was too young. There's only one postseason defeat that repeatedly comes to mind. Last season's 17-10 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. That's probably the only playoff game I do think about, Jackson said. It was right there, but my mind, I'm focused now, though. It is what it is at this point. What does he think about from that AFC Championship game? We lost it, he said. So, there's there's a lot of individuals who are thinking about certain AFC Championship games. I'm sure that Josh Allen feels the same way because it came at the hands of Kansas City Chiefs. So if there's anyone who's, had a dead set vision on getting past a team right now, it's Lamar Jackson and getting past Kansas City, Josh Allen and getting past Kansas City. But there's a lot of football to be played. There's a lot of games that, need to be played before we get there. And there's going to have to be a lot of decision making and people rising to the occasion as we move forward into this wild card weekend. So before we keep going, let me hop into the chat with you guys. Shout out to you, DJ Gene. What up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Tyrone says Big T in the check-in. Shout out to Big T. Good morning to you, Tactical. Good to see you. Good to see you. Bills fan, what's going on with you? How you doing this morning? Tactical says, he's thinking about it. I agree without a doubt. I mean, listen, everyone has, thought about past transgressions and how to get over certain things and how to move forward, whether it be sports, whether it be in life, whether it be in work. These are, the defining moments as far as your character and how far you're willing to push yourself, whether you're a professional athlete or just a regular person in life. And so I think for Lamar Jackson at this point in his career, it's turning into, okay, I know what I can do. I know that I'm talented. Now I need to overcome the beast of adversity and overcome the fear of not being able to accomplish what I need to for this team, which would be a Super Bowl, and being successful. I don't think anybody can sit here and say that they don't expect to see Lamar Jackson in a Super Bowl. I think the question more so was just when we will see him in a Super Bowl. So, like I said, a lot's going to happen between then and now. We'll break down as far as, the games in a moment here. So make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like, that thumbs up as we continue on. Tyrone says, I believe this year he doesn't have the pressure to try to do it all. Yeah. I mean, when you look at having Derrick Henry, Flowers obviously is a question mark, but Bateman, you have Andrews, these guys have definitely became his core. And then obviously in the flip side, right, your defense has been doing very well for the most part. And I think this, once again, it turns into what kind of Lamar Jackson are you getting heading into the playoffs? And so if we just go back here, because I do got the stats pulled up. I mean, if we go back and we just look at the last 4 years in the postseason, you've got back in 18, right? He says he doesn't want to count that. Fine. You were 14 of 29, 48.3% completion percentage, 194 yards. You had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. You were sacked 7 times. You had a QBR of 10.4. I wouldn't want to remember that either. If I had a QBR of 10.4 in the playoffs, I wouldn't want to remember that either. I would blame it on being young. Then we get into 2019, right? You're 31 of 59. Completion percentage is 52.5, 365 yards, average was 6.2. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. You were sacked 4 times. You had a QBR of 30.4. I don't want to remember that one either. Heading into 20, right? You advanced. You averaged 31 of 48, 64.6 on the completion percentage, 341 yards. You averaged 7.1. No touchdowns. You had 2 interceptions. You're sacked 8 times. So then you get into, obviously, 2023. 2 games, right? 36 completions, 59 on the attempts, 61% on the completion percentage, 424 yards, 7.2 on the average, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. You were sacked 7 times, but you had a QBR of 74.4. So like I said, Lamar Jackson is getting better in the postseason, in which that's what you'd want to see from a veteran of his caliber at this point, and specifically with this talented team. So I do hope that he's able to overcome these challenges and get things together for this Ravens squad. If you're going to do it, this is your year to do it. You've got all the pieces on the board. You're checking off all the boxes. Hey, you're in the MVP running. And I think at this point, you have more than the ability to prove yourself with this squad. And so we'll just have to see what happens this weekend. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to you, DJ Gene. Says every 11 years, Ravens win by score of 31 points with a 20-year-old quarterback. I seen that. I seen it. Tactical says, "What about the transgressions of my baby mama? Did I say that too loud? We don't talk about those transgressions. we don't talk about those transgressions. Those ones go on forever." Tactical says, "I'm watching Derrick Henry in that purple, and I just can't stand it. It's all." Tactical, you being a Titans fan, I get it, man. I do. It's like your favorite player going on and being successful somewhere else and then ending up in the playoffs, and you have to sit there and watch your team, watch them on the couch. It's kind of wild. Titans firing people and bringing in new people. The saying goes, there's always next year, unfortunately. Mark says running backs with 2 first names should not be underestimated. I think you're right. Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott. Well, I did drop the video as far as that goes. Ezekiel Elliott moved on to the Chargers. If you didn't know, you can go check out that video. I did drop it yesterday. Ernie says Lamar might get it done this time, especially with Henry. Henry keeps grinding. It's possible. Eddie George. Yeah, we're going way back. Eddie George. Wow. I agree. All right. So next story, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into the Eagles here, right? Let's get into these Eagles.
How big a deal should I be making of this right now in my mind as I'm considering this game?
A massice deal. I mean, this is the difference between you saying, "Hey, this is the best team in the NFC," and this team could be eliminated week 1 of the playoffs. It is a massive change. So when you think about Jalen Hurts and what this offense is and his ability to run the ball, like let's not miss the fact that tush push, all the different things they can do in the red zone, it's all predicated on him taking hits. There is no play in football where the quarterback runs, he's not getting hit. So all of that matters. It is a massive deal. It's a massive point of interest, not only for Eagles fans, but for the NFC as a whole. This is a team that is loaded to bear when they're healthy. Missing your quarterback because of a concussion is a massive deal this late.
The point that you were making there.
Well, let's rewind here, y'all, because we know these are all theatrics, right? There's no way in hell that Jalen Hurts will not be on that field come this weekend. All right. The reality is this. This is all a mind game, right? For planning and things like that. We're going to see Jalen Hurts out on the field. But let's go ahead and get into the story. Eagles Sirianni expresses faith in quarterback Hurts if cleared to play. Goes on to say Eagles coach Nick Sirianni said he is not worried about quarterback Jalen Hurts showing signs of rust should he clear concussion protocol and play in Sunday's wildcard game against the Green Bay Packers. Hurts suffered a concussion in the first quarter after the Washington Commanders on December 22nd and sat out the team's final 2 games of the regular season. He remains in the protocol but is progressing through the process, Sirianni has said. We've got so much faith in him and the things he can do, Sirianni said Monday during his appearance on 94.1 WHIP. This is why you practice the way we practice. Practice is high intensity. We feel like we have a great practice plan, and our guys go about their business and practice very game-like. That's where you work out your kinks or anything that you have, just being locked in and focused all week. Now, before we keep going, I think it's very important to bring this up because we talk a lot about injuries and players not being able to give their full potential because of those said injuries, and conditioning being a huge part of it. We've seen, Jalen Hurts basically have his issues as far as injuries, just like other quarterbacks. So it's really nothing new. But I think in this kind of situation, we know how concussion protocol works. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts. I think he'll be fine. Once again, getting him rested, getting him ready to go, preparing him for the playoffs. I think that's where the Eagles' mindset is. So I wouldn't really worry too much as far as where he stands. I think he's going to be fine. We understand how big this is, especially going into a game against the Packers. This is going to be probably one of the hugest games that we watch this weekend. I mean, all of them are huge, but Eagles-Packers is going to be one of the most important games this weekend for sure. Just from a point of understanding where the Eagles are from the talent side of things, and then looking at where Green Bay is and how they've kind of got this younger team, and Jordan Love is doing great things in Green Bay, and he's got, a solid offense and a great defense working. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup. But once again, the Packers defense plays very physical. So you're going to try to find a way to make sure that Jalen Hurts is now protected and not really exposing himself, because you don't want him to go back into having a situation where the concussion protocol is an issue. So I think, like I said, he's going to be fine. They're going to rest him, get him prepared. He's game planning right now for sure. So we'll keep it going. We got a lot of faith in Jalen as he gets ready to play the football game. Sirianni confirmed Hurts was present at Saturday's walkthrough prior to their regular season finale against the New York Giants, a game in which many key starters sat with the Eagles locked into the NFC's number 2 seed. He has been in the facility over the past couple of weeks, sources said. On Monday, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore indicated he has been able to communicate with Hurts about the game plan for this week. So, like I said, right now they're in the planning phase. They'll be more than ready for this weekend when they go up against the Packers. I'm excited for it. I will be streaming all these games, in case you didn't know. So make sure that you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. Turn on that bell. That way you don't miss a stream. We will be streaming all these games, of course, this weekend. I'll also be getting over to the predictions. We'll break things down in just a moment here as far as all these games as well. But let's wrap this up. It says there will be much attention paid to whether Hurts is able to practice Wednesday as the Eagles begin their on-field prep for the Packers. Kenny Pickett replaced Hurts in the lineup against Washington, but injured his ribs in the game. He started the following week against the Dallas Cowboys and was replaced by Tanner McKee after absorbing a couple hard hits early in the second half. And so, like I said, this is why it's very important for them to, not only get Hurts ready, but to make sure that he's protected when it comes game time, and maybe not risk him as much as far as in the play design. Really, get Saquon going, really get Barkley working. And, if there's going to be any road running or any, situations where it's a 4th and 1 or you're down at the goal line and you think you should do a sneak, you probably just want to do a direct snap to Barkley, let him figure it out. If Barkley can't do it, then Jalen Hurts probably wouldn't be able to do it either. So don't risk the man. Let Barkley do his job. Give him the opportunity. And if the Eagles do move on, you'll have a healthy quarterback potentially trying to make another run at an NFC championship. So there you go. There you go. Let me hop back into the chat with you guys. It says, the question of him playing is an advantage for them, making the other team waste time on game plans that may or may not be used. Yeah, I mean, listen, as far as a point of offensive coordinators and coaching, your big job is or your most important job is figuring out game plan A, B, and C, right? If A doesn't work, well, we got B. If B doesn't work, we got C. And then, there's some kind of situation where they have a plan D in there, but that's just improvising at that point and making adjustments. So I think at the end of the day, it kind of does play into the scheme of things as far as how, defensive coordinators will look at it, how they need to address it. And, well, maybe we'll bring more pressure and that'll, scare him up more because, him being back in that pocket, he's not going to want to get hit again. And that's why I think I'm emphasizing on the point of, this offensive line is going to have to protect their quarterback and make sure that, Jalen Hurts is not pressured back there. People aren't touching him. And then Hurts is going to have to probably get a little bit more mobile too, right? Make his decisions a little bit faster. If he needs to, get out of that pocket, throw it away a little faster. I think that's probably what we're going to see in the first half of the game, depending on how it goes. But, we'll have to talk about it when we get there. But that's just my thoughts on it right now. So there you go. There you go. Michael Jackson quarterback. Tanner. Tyrone says timing plays will play a part, but he will get it. Yeah, he'll get it. He'll be fine. I'm not too concerned with Hurts. He'll be fine. With that said, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate the love and support as we keep it going. So next story up. This is an interesting one and a really sad one, to be honest. So I was recently alerted to this story as far as the Minnesota Vikings players' wives and girlfriends being involved as far as with a harassment situation by the Lions fans. So let's start with, saying how ridiculous this is and how no one, especially the players' wives and girlfriends or family in general, should be harassed by anybody. Why are they in this situation? Why isn't, security around to handle this? And why are I wouldn't want, if I'm a football player or an athlete in any way, shape, or form, I wouldn't want my family mixed in with the fans. Let me just start there before we start breaking this down. I wouldn't want my family or my significant other mixed in with the fans, specifically for this kind of situation. Because guess what? If you touch someone I rock or someone I love or someone I rock with, I'm probably coming off the field and I'm gonna be up in the stands right with you, and we just gonna make it do what it do. And I'm not gonna care about the lawyers and getting sued. I'm gonna just knock you the hell out, and we're gonna get it over with. But let's get into the story. Says the wives and girlfriends of Vikings players were brutally harassed by Lions fans. This is on ML Football on X, which is Twitter. Fourth quarter fans went crazy, and they were forced to have 9 security guards protect them from the fans who touched and made contact with them. So we'll keep it going here. As you can see, we got the picture with security and things being talked out. It says during warmups, one fan yelled at a player about tearing his ACL, again upsetting his wife, mom, and elderly grandma. One wife asked former Detroit players' family if this behavior was normal, and they said yes, their fans are pretty bad. Well, I mean, if you know that, why not set up a situation or have protocols in place for this so it doesn't happen? It goes on to say once they got to their seats, fans started viciously yelling at them throughout the game, and it got so bad they needed a full security team around them. The harassment was extreme. One Lions fan told a Vikings wife she wouldn't leave Detroit with all her fingers. What? Offensive lineman Dalton Risner's wife posted that she was touched by fans. Fans repeatedly touching, yelling, cursing at them just for being the significant others of the Vikings players. And then goes on to say another wife was poked repeatedly by a fan who wouldn't stop until security intervened. A fan targeted a Vikings player's family member yelling, "Go home, fat, go home, fat." And then obviously you can see all the excitement and ridiculous craziness here from the Lions fans. So let me just pause it here. This is kind of ridiculous. Number one, it's really ridiculous actually. So number one, we understand how football works, right? And especially if your team's winning, like what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? You would think that the Lions fans would be appreciative that they're at this point, right? Your team's winning, your team's doing good. They're heading into the playoffs. I get, you're hyped and you're excited and you got a chip on your shoulder, but there's got to be some kind of level of respect and having some kind of class when it comes to any individual in the stadium, let alone the opposing team's family. This is absolutely disgusting. Obviously you guys weren't raised right, and somebody needs to put you in their place for sure as we keep it going. It says since stories have come out about this, some Detroit fans have DM'd the wives, girlfriends of players, threatening to grape them and commit other horrible acts. Many have gone private to protect their families. This is nasty. Absolutely nasty. Another Vikings family member told ML Football that they've been to games with the Eagles and the Bills fan bases, and they were nowhere near how the Detroit Lions fans treated them and acted. I've been to Buffalo and Philly. The other girls have been all over as well. None of us have experienced anything like we did on Sunday. We were genuinely scared to be there. So yeah. I mean, this is nasty stuff, y'all. This is very nasty stuff. It's unacceptable. And, from someone that covers all 32 teams, we got Lions fans, and I respect everyone that's on the channel. But, talk to your friends, talk to your Detroit Lion friends, and hold people accountable, right? Hold people accountable. Let them know that this shit ain't right. Let them know that this shit ain't cool, and that it's not going to be tolerated. first off, you don't harass women, you don't berate women, and you just don't do that kind of shit. It's nasty. Don't do it. Don't do it. Show some class. Show some class. Let me hop into the chat. At least it didn't turn the hot water off to the locker room. Listen, there's a lot of dirty things that we see in these football games, and it's kind of sad because the atmosphere for that shouldn't happen, right? Football is what I would consider to be a little bit more family friendly these days. So you got kids in the stadium, you've got elderly people in the stadium, families. So if you're not, cognizant of that fact, then, maybe you shouldn't be there, right? If you don't know how to act in public and you can't be respectable and you don't know how to act when there's a camaraderie, or you don't know how to act when there's, any kind of situation where, your team's winning and you're hyped up about it, then maybe you shouldn't go. Listen, a lot of people complain about the ticket prices. I see why the ticket prices are, getting higher, because, it's to avoid stuff like this. There you go. But make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel as we keep it going. Mark says 9 players' wives have commented on Eagles fans in the past. This is not new. Yeah. Shout out to Jennifer. Says, I heard another side of the story too, that the wife was drunk and incited the fans around them. Okay. So I'll say this then. How do you... I got this sun like all on me. Can I block this sun? Can I? There we go. I had to black it out. Okay. Let's say that's the case, right? How do we handle drunk people? Let's talk about it. If the wives of the Vikings players were drunk and engaging with the fans, and how should the fans engage with them? Because I'll tell you how this goes. Fans know who people are, right? We know who these people are. And if you're paying attention to certain situations and certain players, and you know who they family are and all this other stuff, there's a lot of people looking for opportunity, right? Because I can tell you right now, there's people who will go in a stadium, they'll sit there and try to talk shit to a player, they'll get their ass beat, and next thing you know, they're crying to their lawyer because they're trying to get a payday. We gonna keep it 100% real right now. We ain't gonna sugarcoat it. We gonna keep it real. Remember when the cameraman walked in front of Davante Adams, and then Davante Adams, he pushed him off of him, and then it was a lawsuit for that, and then it got, just pushed under the rug. He got him a nice little check. There are people who will intentionally do things to other people's family, to the players, just so they can get a check. This is how things work in certain circumstances. So I think the reality is, I'm just going to say it like this. If you're a football player, you're an athlete, whatever you're doing, keep your family out of the stands with the fans. Put them up in the press box or VIP, whatever it is. Get them out the way so that this isn't an issue and it's not a situation that we have to talk about. Because it's kind of ridiculous. It puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths in regards to, how fans react. Because, hey, we get it. When fans are fighting, that's a normal thing. We know that's normal. It is what it is. It shouldn't happen, but it does. So we get it. But now we're talking about a whole different situation where fans are in the DMs of a player's wife or girlfriend talking madness. Come on now. It's not, like I said, it's not excusable. And have some class. Have some class. 357, what up, yo? Says JM fam, let's go. Need a mix up. My peeps all stuck in the California fire. Got to take a break. Listen, we got some friends and family out there too. It's nasty. The fire is nasty. I mean, we could break, take a little break from the sports and talk about it. It's bad. It's definitely bad, and unfortunately, prayers for those individuals out there in California who's been affected by the fire. But if you're in the way of the fire, get out the way. Get out the way. I get it. It's your house. It may be your prized possession, your car, all that kind of stuff. Get out of there. Keep your life. You can buy a new car. You can get a new house. I know it's difficult, but that's what the insurance is for and all that kind of stuff. But get out of there. Get out of there. There's people who've risked their lives and all that kind of stuff for possessions. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't put yourself in that kind of situation. And like I said, prayers for everyone in California right now that's going through this bad situation. So DJ Jean says, why do fans get so crazy? It's not like they're getting paid. I guess gambling may be contributing. Well, no, because think about it. The Lions were winning. So this is a situation where the fans, right? The Lions fans are harassing the Vikings wives and girlfriends. Okay. The Lions are already winning. This is basically just fanfare, right? It's we're better than you. We're beating you, blah, blah, blah. We're talking shit. And it's like at the end of the day, that's not what needs to happen at this level. We know there's a way to do it, but some people don't know how to do it, right? We talk garbage all day when Sunday comes or when we're streaming these games or whatever it is. We talk garbage all the time, but there's a way to do it. There's a way for it to be cool and cordial and we all having a good time, and we talking our garbage and it's all fun. But when you get disrespectful, that's when all bets start to go off. That's when things start to change. And that's when, I got to reach into the bag. That's when the non-professional Jay got to come out. Right. And so I don't like being in those situations. I'm sure y'all don't like being in those situations. And so we handle ourselves accordingly when it comes to wherever. I remember one year we went down to Tennessee. Titans and Bills. Great stadium. We had our Bills gear on. We were surrounded by Titans fans. It was all love. It was cool. We was both talking garbage back and forth, but it was chill. It was fun. It was relaxed. Shook hands, hug, ha ha ha, and that was it. That's how you do it. But some people, like I said, they can't handle being out. They don't know how to act in society, and unfortunately for them, they just don't learn until they get knocked out. So there you go. We're going to keep it funky. We're going to keep it funky today. All right, moving on. Shout out T357. Let's go. Moving on. Tyler Lockett, y'all. Tyler Lockett, ladies and gentlemen. One of the, I think, underrated wide receivers that definitely doesn't get looked at as much because I think of the franchise that he's on, right? If you know him and you watch him, well, you probably love him. If you don't really know about him and you don't really watch him, then you don't know what you've been missing out on. Go back and look at some of the tape. Go back and look at some of the highlights. But Tyler Lockett, I definitely think was a gem, or it has been a gem to this team. But let's go ahead and get into it. Since everyone thinks beloved NFL wide receiver is retiring after Sunday's game, if the clothes make the man, then star wide receiver Tyler Lockett of the Seahawks may have been saying quite a bit on Sunday. That's because Lockett, who is 32 and in his 10th season with the Seahawks, appeared to be sending a message with his cleats ahead of Seattle's Week 18 game against the Rams. Lockett wore cleats to open the game that harkened back to the day he was drafted back in April 2015, which showed the graphic that announced his selection as the third-round pick of the Seahawks, number 69 overall, after a stellar career at Kansas State. On his other shoe was a list of reasons he's been grateful for his NFL career. A picture of the cleats made the rounds on social media. So these are the cleats here. Obviously, you could take a look at them, but you'll see, the draft pick selection. And then, of course, the things that he's grateful. I love these shoes. These are actually great. So without a doubt, that's pretty amazing that, he wore those and showed his gratitude and all that stuff. So, but just veering off a little bit, I mean, just watching Tyler Lockett play, and it's really unfortunate that, he wasn't able to be there during the Super Bowl times for the Seahawks, right? I think when, Tyler Lockett came in, that's when the Seahawks had obviously lost to the Patriots due to the pass. I don't want to relive it, y'all, but that's just the reality of it. He came in after that. And so unfortunately for him, I think the Seahawks were kind of like, in the downtrend. And then Tyler Lockett kind of, got in his stride. He balled out. It wasn't until maybe a couple years that he was in the game after his rookie season that he started to, get 1,000-yard seasons. But, he's one of the few wide receivers that I know that really didn't take too much of a hit, right? He'd get his yards, slide, avoided the contact. And some people said that, he may have been soft for that, but to me, it was kind of smart. It's like, listen, I'm preserving my body. I'm going to get these first downs and not let you hit me. It reminded me of kind of like Floyd Mayweather, right? Everyone gives Floyd Mayweather crap because, he doesn't stand in the middle of the ring and slug it out. He's a defensive stick and move kind of boxer. You're not going to hit him. And so Tyler Lockett kind of uses that same approach on the field, right? I'm going to catch this ball, try and get as many yards as I can. When I see the contact coming, I'm sliding down. I'm getting out the way. And that's been able to preserve him up until this point. So, hey, the man leaves or will potentially leave on a high note with his mind and body intact. And I'm not mad at that at all as we keep it going. It says Lockett has hinted that he is ready for retirement before. He once noted that he planned to retire at 30 years old, but played past that milestone. He later explained, it just sounded like a good year, Lockett said via the Seattle Times. It was like when my financial lady asked me, when do you want to retire? I said 30. It was like, all right, you're 30. I was like, I'll just keep on playing. Lockett is averaging 35.8 yards per game this season, the second lowest of his career. He has caught just 2 touchdowns this season. Lockett is wrapping up the first of a 2-year, $29.7 million contract he signed last year. But the Seahawks have to have an opt-out that comes with only $4 million of dead cap, which means he has likely played his last game in Seattle either way. Should Lockett be let go by Seattle, where he has been a fan favorite throughout his career, he will have a chance to land elsewhere, but the consensus is he will retire. So there you go. If he does, Tyler Lockett, if you do retire, congratulations. Much power to you. And I wish you the best moving forward in your endeavors. So there you go. All right, let me hop into the chat. Tyler Lockett doesn't get enough targets. Well, I think it may be over now. Shout out to you, Shantae. Good to see you. Good morning. And play until I'm 32. Smart guy. Exactly. Right? You've had a great career. Unfortunately, the Seahawks just as a team, they've had a couple playoff, appearances since then. And, it just really hasn't been there for them. And that's not to say that Geno, hasn't been decent, but for some reason, this team has just not been doing too well. We'll have to get into that another day, of course, breaking things down. But yeah, like I said, Tyler Lockett, ladies and gentlemen, may retire, may not. We'll keep you updated. Says Greenland and Canada getting their own teams. Maybe Vikings will move to Greenland. I was not trying to go there, yo. I was not trying to go there, DJG. And I thought about it this morning too. I thought about it this morning when I seen it, and I was like, do I really want to bring that up? All right, I'm going to ask y'all a question, and then we're going to move on. How do y'all feel about it? Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. How do y'all feel about it? How would y'all feel if Mexico and Canada became the United States of America? I'm just asking this one question because I want to see what y'all say, and then we're going to move on from it. I mean, I'll start. For me, I think it would be very interesting. I would probably travel a lot more domestically and feel a little better going down to Mexico because it'd probably be policed a little better. But that's where I'm leaving it. Shout out to you, Buck. Tactical says these morning shows are awesome, Jay. Appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. I'm having fun for sure. It sounds like the same as them grabbing. Oh. I mean, I think it's different if it's not like a hostile takeover, right? If it's not a hostile takeover and everyone just comes together and makes it a plan, then fine. But yeah, if we're talking about the complete opposite of that, let's not let's not get into that, right? Let's not get into that, because if it's a hostile takeover, then we're talking a whole different situation that nobody wants, right? But if you get two or three countries to come together and they're all in agreement to combine, that's different, right? That's different. But once again, it's all right. Listen, there's a lot of stuff being said right now, right? And I'm going to keep this short and brief because I don't want to veer to, because trust me, I can get into the conversation with y'all, but I'm going to keep it short and brief. There's a significant difference between having a situation where countries come together and make a plan and then other countries being forced and being taken. Now, if it's, of course, the situation where they come together and make a plan, then sure, I'd be all for it, because then, other parties are involved, things are being planned out, and it is what it is. But when you get into a conversation that seems like you're mentioning this and then it's really that, that's where it's like, oh, all right, let me just back up a little bit. Gulf of America. So the lady brought this up yesterday because we were talking about it. I will say this. Y'all got me going now. Make sure that you're talking politics with your significant other. Good or bad. Make sure you're having these conversations with your significant other. A lot of y'all don't be talking to y'all significant others and having the conversations that you need to. I'm going to just say that first. Second, we were talking yesterday about the Gulf of America thing, and I thought it was very funny because I laughed. And I made a joke, and I said, well, for the most part, the Gulf is decent right now, right? The Gulf of Mexico is decent. I think if it becomes the Gulf of America, it'll be dirty. I don't think it'll be taken care of as much. That was a joke I made. Shout out to you, Shante. Says, I missed the show yesterday, so I went back and we watched some of it. And it's the most craziest story to me is the Don King lawsuit. Oh, yeah. Like I said, Don King, legendary boxing promoter, put together some of the most amazing fights, historical fights that we'll, know about for years to come. And it's sad to see him in such another, ridiculous lawsuit and situation, because we've known Don King to always be involved in this kind of madness and sad situations. And unfortunately, he's older now, and if you're getting to the point now where show up with grace, right? Show up with grace. You're getting into your latter years, don't stain your legacy, right? A lot of people have short memory, so they'll kind of forget things that you have done previously in the past and move on from it and kind of forgive you if it's not too bad. But when you start having the same kind of situations, it's like, all right, now let's move on. But shout out to you, Shante. People forget that under that administration, there was a deal to combine. Yeah, I remember that. Didn't happen. Like I said, there's always these conversations, but nothing really ever comes to fruition. And I think it's going to be the same kind of situation. It's probably not going to happen. But you never know. So, Coffee with Jay. Whether you got a water in your hand, you got some coffee, some tea, whatever you got, take a sip. I'm on the ice cap this morning. It's Oreo ice cap. Before we get to our next story. All right. So next up, it's almost showtime, ladies and gentlemen. We are literally about 48 hours away from Wild Card Weekend. 48 hours away from Wild Card Weekend. I'm so excited. I'm so ready. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell. Turn on your notifications so way you don't miss a stream. So, let's get into it. Chiefs, Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Steelers, Bills, Broncos, Lions, Rams, Vikings, Buccaneers, Commanders, Eagles, Packers, AFC, NFC. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. We already know that the Chiefs are on a bye. So we're going to break into the Texans and the Chargers here. Number one. Chargers, Texans. Chargers 11-6. Texans 10-7. This game will be on 1/11. That will be Saturday at 4:30 p.m. As we get into this one. Game odds. Chargers by 3 on the road. Over-unders 42.5. Money line is -155. Plus 135 for the Texans. Matchup predictor, 52.8% for the Chargers, 47.2% for your Texans. As far as the season leaders, Justin Herbert, 332 of 504, 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. CJ Stroud, 336 of 532, 3,727 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. As far as the rushing side of things, J.K. Dobbins, 195 carries of 905 yards, 9 touchdowns. As far as Mixon, 245 carries, 1,016 yards, 11 touchdowns. As far as your receiving yards, McConkey, 82 receptions, 1,149 yards, 7 touchdowns. Collins, 68 receptions, 1,006 yards, 7 touchdowns. As far as your injury report, Denzel Perryman, Simi Fehiko, Quentin Johnson, Gus Edwards, and Jasir Taylor are either questionable or on IR. And as far as the Texans, Danico Autry, Lorenzo Fatakowski, Christian Harris, Jeff Okuda, John Mechie are all questionable. And as well as you guys know, Tank Dell is out. So, yeah, we touched on the bracket a few days ago. And so now looking at the odds and as far as the situation specifically with the Texans being at home, my big problem with the Texans is this. We look at CJ Stroud, right? You're now back into almost the same situation you were last year, right? But there was less tape on you, right? No, people weren't really ready. They didn't know what to expect with CJ Stroud. In fact, I'll never forget it. Barstool Sports called CJ Stroud a bust at the beginning of the season. I said, let's give him time. Let's see what happens. And then obviously he shows up in the playoffs. They did exit, but he showed up. And now, second season, he's back at it. So this is a very significant moment for CJ Stroud. Are you going to have a first round exit and go out almost like you did last year? Or have you learned from those mistakes and are you prepared to move forward as far as against the Chargers? Now, on the flip side, the Chargers, Justin Herbert has been wildly underrated. He has went under the radar. He's been overlooked by a lot of people. And I feel like with Harbaugh coming in, Justin Herbert has figured out not only how to win properly, but, hey, I'm going to sneak into the playoffs. Don't pay attention to me. Talk about Allen. Talk about Lamar. Talk about Patrick. Talk about Bo Nix. Talk about CJ Stroud. Keep talking about Aaron Rodgers. Talk about him. Go ahead. I'm going to play my best ball, and I'm going to end up in the playoffs and sneak in there. Nobody's going to notice it. And so now the Chargers are kind of like in this weird way because people still really aren't looking at the Chargers as a threat. And so I get it, right? It's Justin Herbert. We really don't expect much from him. I think this year is going to be a little bit different. I think this is the one sleeper team that nobody's really paying attention to. I like the offense. They just picked up Ezekiel Elliott, and I don't really see him being too much of a factor. But when it comes to the running side of things, I do feel like his presence and his experience will be good for this team, and he can definitely help out the other individuals. Now, my expectations, I think this will be a shootout. I think this is going to be one of those situations where you're hoping that the Texans defense may be able to slow down the Chargers so that CJ Stroud can kind of, keep things going. But on the flip side, I'm not sure that the Texans are ready to put up the kind of numbers that the Chargers will in this game. The over-under is 42.5. If we go back and look here at the last 5 for both, you got the Raiders 34-20. You got New England 40-7. You got Denver 34-27. They took a loss to Tampa Bay 40-17. They took a loss to Kansas City 19-17. Flip side. I apologize. That was the Chargers. Texans 23-14. They lost to Baltimore 31-2. They lost to Kansas City 27-19. They won against Miami 20-12, and they won against Jacksonville 23-20. So when we're looking at just, the point difference, the Chargers are putting up 30, 40, 34. Texans are putting up 23, 20, 23, 2, 19. So I definitely think that, the Texans defense is going to have trouble with these Chargers. And I'm going to take the Chargers by a touchdown in this one against the Texans. So there you go. Says the legacy of these teams look troublesome. Shout out to you, Dan. I haven't watched either team all season. Go back and look at some of the highlights. That might get you up to speed. Chargers are actually decent for sure, without a doubt. Says the only reason Texans are in this is because the division is awful. They are not a playoff team. I have LA over Houston. I agree. Zeke is good if you need 1 or 2 yards. If you need 3, he will get 1 or 2. You said what I said yesterday. All right. You said what I said yesterday, but I gave Zeke a little bit more grace. All right. Tony Pollard, he'd get you the 7 or 8, right? Maybe the 6. Zeke comes in, he'll get you the 3 to 2. You need to get him as close as you can, and then he'll, get you across. Just don't try to get 4 or 5. Don't bring him in needing 4 or 5. But no, I seriously think that Zeke will be some help for sure. For sure. All joking aside. Shout out to you, Grace. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to you holding down that work. Let's go. Let's go. Tyrone says, I think you were underestimating the Texans. Listen, to a certain degree, I will say okay. But then I ask you to tell me why. And then I will retort. If I'm underestimating the Texans, tell me why. And I will retort. Lander Josh says, think Buffalo will have any trouble this weekend. We're going to get to that in a minute. So make sure you stick around. Zeke is Emmett minus 1.5. Not the great value Emmitt Smith. That's crazy. Yeah, we're doing this Monday through Friday, Dan. Every morning, Monday through Friday. DJ Jean says, do you think the new kickoff rule is here to stay? I mean, that's a good question, right? I still don't like it. I've accepted it, but I feel like it's that annoying friend that I want to get away from. I like him. Well, no, I don't really like him. I tolerate him. Right? That one annoying friend that, you used to like, and now you're like, oh, here comes, them, and they're just nagging me. But you keep them around because, it is what it is. You've known them for like 10, 15 years, and, they're begging you for money, and they're like, oh. Can I get $20? I'll give it back to you next week. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about the new kickoff. It's one of those situations like, oh. And then I gotta, when there's a flag, it's like, oh, it wasn't inside the landing zone. What the hell? It wasn't in the landing zone, and then they automatically get pushed to the 40? Listen, y'all gonna get me started. I don't want to get started. Let me just move on. Says, I think the Chargers will win. I overestimated the Texans this season and underestimated the Chargers early on. I agree. Without a doubt. Like I said, I don't think the Chargers were really on my radar until about week 6. Week 6, week 7. You know, like I'm being 100% transparent with you guys. It is very, very difficult to keep track of all 32 teams. I try to do the best that I can. I get a lot of the breaking news. I get a lot of the highlights when we're not streaming the games and things like that. So when I go back and I do my assessments and I do my analysis for teams like the Chargers and teams like the Browns and stuff like that, I'm looking at it from a point of, if we didn't stream it, I'm going back and looking at highlights. So then I got to look at stats. It's like, well, Myles Garrett had, 2 sacks this game, or, Jerry Jeudy did this, or this or that. And so it's kind of those kind of situations where you look at the Chargers and it's like, okay, I'm going back. And then I'm seeing what Justin Herbert did. And I'm like, oh, I missed out on this? That's crazy. And then, it then starts to make sense. So we stream Texans games. I think we streamed maybe 1 or 2 Chargers games this season. We streamed Texans games. So I seen what, CJ Stroud had to offer in this offense and, the issues that they had. And then obviously losing Tank Dell and all that kind of stuff. So the Chargers, like I said, are underrated and under watch for me, because I don't think anybody really expected them to do much. Now, Harbaugh coming over definitely changed this team 100%. And I think partially that's why, a huge reason why this team is where they are right now, due to the coaching efforts of Harbaugh, for sure. For sure. I noticed them when they got Harbaugh. See what I'm saying? Without a doubt, Dan. 100%. 100%. But with that said, yeah, we got, I'm going to the Chargers. I'm going to take them by a touchdown. I just don't think the Texans will be able to keep up. I could be wrong. Listen, y'all know when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. But that's just what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Flag football? I'm not doing flag football. I mean, if y'all will watch it, I'll do it, but I don't think y'all going to watch it. All right. Here we go. Let me go back. Steelers, Ravens. Now, this one here. Steelers, Ravens. I feel so sad for Russell Wilson. I really do. The situation for Russell Wilson is he now at the point that he can't get the job done? Or is he at the point where he can do just enough to score and this defense can stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson? That is point blank. There's no other way around it. You can do all kinds of analysis. Somebody got mad at me because they didn't like the take that I gave about Sam Darnold in regards to the Lions game. Because I didn't specifically break down why Sam Darnold didn't have a good game. I didn't need to break it down. He played like dog shit. You want me to be completely honest with you? I don't have to break it down. We seen what Sam Darnold did. We know that the Lions completely locked down Justin Jefferson, and that's why Sam Darnold had nowhere to go. It's very simple. So when we get into this kind of game, we talk about these kind of situations as far as with the Steelers and the Ravens. I don't have to tell you what you don't already know. It's very simple. What kind of Russell Wilson are we getting? Are we getting the Russell Wilson that has playoff experience, that knows how not to fold under pressure, that can go out there and try and do his best, that will be mobile, that will try to pass the ball? Is George Pickens going to step the hell up? Is he going to go out there and do his job? Did he learn from his mistakes in the last game? Or are you running into the same kind of brick wall that the Steelers just had and the Ravens are going to steamroll him? That's the only question that we have to get answered to know where this is going to go. Because the bottom line is this. Lamar Jackson's on a mission. Derrick Henry's on the mission. Derrick Henry saying to himself right now, listen, this may be all I have left. Right now, this moment. So I'm going to run everybody over on that damn Steelers defense. Lamar Jackson. I learned from my last postseason experiences. I was a little nervous and worried. I ain't worried no more. I know who I am. I got the bag. I got the money. I got the team. I got Derrick Henry, and you can't stop me. So that's the reality of it. We don't got to look at numbers, nothing. You want to talk about spread? Fine. We can talk about spread. Let's do it. Ravens are favored by 9.5 at home. Over-under is 43.5. The money line is minus 500. That tells you exactly what you need to know without even looking at numbers. Matchup predictor, 27.8% for the Steelers, 72.2% for the Ravens. What y'all Steelers fans want me to say? Russell Wilson gonna go out there and be an all-star and play elite football? I would not be surprised if we seen Justin Fields by halftime. I wouldn't. And that's not even a knock at Russell Wilson. I looked at what he's done this year, and we can start breaking it down as far as from a point of the last 5, right? You lost to the Bengals, 19-17. You lost to the Chiefs, 29-10. You lost to the Ravens, 34-17. You lost to the Eagles, 27-13. You beat the Browns, 27-14. Should you even be in the playoffs? Or did you steal this spot from somebody else that may have actually been a worthy opponent? We get into these Ravens last 5. 35-10 against the Browns. 31-2 against the Texans. 34-17 against the Steelers. 35-14 against the Giants. They lost to the Eagles in a close one, 24-19. So this is very easy. It's very simple. I wouldn't be mad if I took the points for the Ravens in this one. So there you go. As Mark says, my condolences to the Ravens fans. I mean, what else can we say at this point? There's literally nothing else that we can say or do at this point. When it comes to the Steelers, all you have is hope, right? Mike Tomlin gets to kind of skirt around because he's got another winning season and he made it to the playoffs. And then his excuse gets to be, well, it was Russell Wilson. That's all I had. And Justin Fields. Bring me in another quarterback. Bring me in another quarterback. We'll figure it out next year. And, we'll get there again. Now, all jokes aside, can some crazy stuff happen? It can, because we really don't know. But would I put money on something crazy happening? Would I put money on that plus 360 on that money line? I wouldn't. Unless, like I said, Lamar Jackson runs into that same kind of situation where he's nervous, worried, goes out there and gets frazzled, starts throwing picks, then maybe. But if we're talking analytics and analytical, just from a point of logic here, this should be an easy Ravens victory, and they move on. So there you go. Shout out to you, Tyler. What up, man? This is Jay. Go Broncos. Good luck to your team, fam. Love you. Shout out to you, bro. I love you guys too, man. Without a doubt. Best of luck to your Broncos, though. And Tyler, I respect you. Before we move on, I respect you, Tyler, because you're a Broncos fan, and all the other Broncos fans that rock with the channel, rock with me. But there's been a lot of craziness going on. There's been a lot of crazy talking going on, Tyler. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Some of those Broncos fans been talking out the side of their mouth, and I've been wanting to talk. I've been just relaxing. I've been relaxed. I've been chilling out. I haven't been, I haven't went into the hoodie J mode. I've been chilling. And I'm like, listen, I'm letting y'all do y'all thing, have fun. You back in the playoffs, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, right? I'm letting y'all have it. But one of these, one of these days, y'all not you, Tyler. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking in general here. I'm just speaking in general. One of these days, these Broncos fans, let's just have a nice, calm Sunday, right? We get started, we have fun, we enjoy the play. Because when they start talking wild, that's when I'm going to turn up. All right. I've been trying to give y'all grace. I've been trying to let y'all enjoy the moment. I know it's been a while. But some of y'all Broncos fans been talking real wild. And we get it. I totally get it. If anybody gets it, I get it. Because listen, I know it's been, when the Bills went through it, the Bills fans got all rowdy and stuff. They was hanging up. The Kermit dolls and stuff for Patrick Mahomes. I get it. So, but some of y'all need to reserve that for Casey. Just reserve it for Casey. Right? Bills ain't gonna do nothing bad to y'all except beat y'all. I had to let it out. I had to get it out. Just a small one. The Bills ain't gonna do nothing bad, but just beat y'all. And then we'll move on. I've been taking a lot of flack from y'all Broncos fans for the last couple of days, so there you go. I had to get one off. All right, where we at? I didn't veer it off. Hold on here. Let's go back. So now we're on to the Bills and the Broncos. Bills fans says, preach. Bills fan, you see it. You've seen it. It's been. Before I get into this, like I said, much love to the Broncos fans who rock with the channel and everything, but there has been a real shift in attitudes and egos and a lot of talk, and a lot of people who weren't talking in the past few years and really started to get a little voice on them. They just started to get a little bass in their voice. They talking with their chests right now. I get it. You feeling yourself. My mom used to say, you smelling yourself. So my mom used to say, you stop smelling yourself. You stay in the child's place. All right. So let's get into it. Broncos Bills, y'all. Make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up. And of course, if you have not subscribed to the channel as we get into this one, 1:12. This is going to be on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. I will be streaming this game. I'm so excited for it. So make sure you are here as we get into this prediction. Broncos 10-7, Bills 13-4 as we get into the game odds. The spread, Bills by 8.5. Over under is 46.5, plus 340 on the money line for the Broncos, minus 450 on the money line for the Bills. Matchup predictors, 31.9% for the Broncos, 68.1% for your Bills. As far as the season leaders, Bo Nix, 376 and 567, 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Josh Allen, 307 and 483, 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. On the rushing side of things, Williams with 139 carries, 513 yards, 4 touchdowns. James Cook, 207 carries, 1,009 yards, 16 touchdowns. As far as receiving yards, Sutton, 81 receptions, 1,081 yards, 8 touchdowns. Khalil Shakir, 76 receptions, 821 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The current injury report, Frank Crum, Tyler Beatty, Delarian Turner-Yell, Alex Singleton, and Quinn Bailey are out for the Broncos. As far as the Bills, Amari Cooper's questionable, Terrell Bernard's questionable, Balin Spector, Travis Clayton, and Shane Bukele are on IR. As far as the last 5, obviously, Broncos have the win against KC, 38-0. This ain't the real KC. It was the other KC. Next after that, they messing me up here. Why y'all messing me up? Don't mess me up. All right, here we go. Next after that, it's going to be the loss to the Bengals in OT, 30-24. Lost to the Chargers 34-27. They won against the Colts 31-13, and they won against the Browns 41-32. As far as the Bills go, they lost to New England 23-16. Someone got fired for winning that game. We're not going to talk about it, but it's kind of wild. And of course, the Bills beat the Jets 40-14, beat New England 24-21. They beat the Lions 48-42, and lost to the Rams 44-42. So someone said, well, Jay, how many points the Bills got to put up now? You got to put up 40. I want to see 40 points a game in the playoffs. I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not playing. Not 30, not 35. Go out there and put up 40 points. Defense, offense, you can combine it, do it. 40 points. That's what the Bills need to put up. Now, obviously, we're going to break this down a little bit more because it's not that simple, right? We know that the Broncos have an actual solid defense. We know that the Broncos lead the league in sacks. So the pressure is going to be after Josh Allen. They know that he's mobile. They know that he's strong. They know that he likes to run if he needs to. The problem now with Allen is he's locked in. Can you get to him before he gets rid of the ball? And at what cost? And who do you leave open if you're the Broncos defense, right? If you're rushing Josh Allen and you don't get him, that ball's gone for 30, 40 yards. And so Sean Payton is going to look at this and try and open this thing up as best he can in regards to a talented quarterback like Josh Allen. How do you stop him? Well, I'll give you a secret. You find a way to break through. If you can break through, then you force Josh Allen to throw under pressure, and that's where you have the best advantage. Now, the question is, can you do it? Because the Bills have a very good offensive line. Josh is in sync. He has chemistry. It's working. He's had a lot of time back there in that pocket, and when he does need to run, guess what? He's going to get some significant yards. So I do think that as good as the Broncos defense has been, yes, you may have some momentum there. But this isn't your run-of-the-mill quarterback. This is Josh Allen. The man right now has a huge chip on his shoulder, and especially being at home. You're going to come into Highmark Stadium. You're going to deal with that big, athletic, running quarterback with an arm. You're also going to be dealing with the 12th man. Bo Nix is going to have a big problem in this stadium. Some of y'all don't know what the 12th man is. The 12th man is that noise. Rookie quarterback in Highmark Stadium, dealing with the noise, can't hear the play call because that stadium is so loud you can't hear. The snap count is off. False start. Now it's in your mind. Now you've made a mistake. Do you get broken as Bo Nix, or do you find a way to overcome the adversities? Because now you have to make a decision. Now you want to get rid of that ball. Now you want to go deep. Do you throw it deep? If nobody's open, does it get picked off? Do you get sacked because you held the ball too long? These are things that Bo Nix is going to have to overcome. And yes, the defense hasn't been great, but what I've seen out of Von Miller in the last few games is a different story. What I've seen out of Ed Oliver is a different story. What I've seen out of Russo has been different. And so now we look at the opportunity as far as for the Bills defense in a different light as well, because they were bad at the beginning of the season. We know they've had their injury issues, but now people are starting to step up. Now people are starting to see the promised land. This is why we say defense wins championships, right? Oh, well, the Bills have a terrible defense, but it's starting to shift. It's starting to change. So I do think this is going to be a hell of a game. What I will say is this, all jokes aside, when we talk about, Bo Nix not being ready or not having the capability of actually, being able to get up and down the field, it's not in your best interest to sleep on this Broncos team. Sean Payton knows what he's doing. The man's Super Bowl champion. He understands the field almost as good as anyone else. So he's going to know and have an advantage over someone like Sean Payton. My bad. Sean McDermott. There's two Seans out there. Sean Payton, Sean McDermott. He's going to have an advantage over Sean McDermott because he's been there before. He knows what it takes to win. You ain't been there, Sean McDermott. So can you outcoach Sean Payton when it matters the most? Because the only disadvantage that you really have is you have a rookie quarterback that you're expecting to do it all. That's the reality. So, y'all know I'm going to Bills, but I'm just giving you the reason why. Bills by 8.5. I'm fine with the points. Bills are at home. Stadium's going to be rocking. There's a different level of emotion for this team. There's a different level of determination for this whole squad. Keon Coleman, Amari Cooper, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, James Cook, Ray Davis, all these individuals, Khalil Shakir, Johnson. This whole team and what Joe Brady has been able to do with this offense has been nothing short of phenomenal. And if you're going to beat them, hats off to you, but it's going to be a strong feat for sure. So there you go. Shout out to Animals with Horns. Good to see you. Good to see you. New England defense was terrible. Going deep without a pickup is a risk on its own. What? That is probably one of the funniest things you've said, bro. Josh is like a bar of soap. You squeeze him, he pops out. I agree. Shout out to you, Sassy. The Bills have signed defensive tackle Eli Anku and linebacker Tyreek Maddox-Williams to the practice squad. Yeah, I mean, getting extra defensive help's not bad, right? They brought back Micah Hyde. We haven't really talked about him too much because he's still kind of in the shadows. So we'll see how that plays out. We might see Micah Hyde back on the field at some point, and that definitely will be a factor for sure. Little, concerned about the injuries and things like that, but he may be okay. We'll see how it goes. But that's just where we are. The Battle of Sean's. Yeah, the Battle of Sean's. So we'll go one more today, and then we'll get into the other three on our morning show tomorrow. Or no, my bad. Yeah, we did all three. So, yeah, we'll save the rest. We'll save the NFC for tomorrow. So there you go. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I appreciate each and every one of you. Always a great and excellent time. Tomorrow I'll try to be back on early. I had a meeting this morning, so I was kind of running late. But like I said, no matter what, we're going to be doing the morning show between 10 and 12. So that's going to be the theme of things. So there you go. Shout out to you, Gay Smashers. Hey there, Jay, chilling out in the cold, pure fishing, Bills Mafia country, Cedar Key, Florida. Let's go. Shout out to you. Good to see you. Holding it down. We got a few more days until it gets real, y'all. I'm excited for it. You're excited for it. And I can't wait. Good afternoon now to you all. Or good morning, wherever you are. Have a great day. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Peace out.